popcorn. We are two niggas spoiling movies. Yeah. Brandon Collins, that's me, and Justin Brown for your movie needs. Media popcorn. Woo! You haven't seen it, well, we're gonna spoil it. Spoil it in your face. That's your warning. So if you get pissed, it's all your fault.
What is up, little biscuits and sun-dried tomatoes? It's your boy, Eddie Collins.
Guys, this is Justin Brown.
And we are Media Popcorn, spoiling movies. We're going to spoil this shit all up in your face like a gun shot.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's not going to be delivered by Ana de Armas. This one's going to be delivered by two brothers that wanted better. I mean, I'm just speaking from, I actually shouldn't be speaking for both of us. I should be speaking for myself, particularly.
How about this? Two brothers sitting in their basements.
We are sitting in our basements just talking about movies. Yeah,
we got two niggas in the basement. Yeah.
We're not incels, people. If this is your first time listening, I promise you. We are reviewing From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, a 2025 action thriller, supposedly directed by Lynn Wiseman, written by Shay Haddon, and starring, of course, I said, Ana de Armas. We have Gabrielle Byrne, Catalina Marino, who I hadn't seen in a long time. She was Oscar nominated for Maria Full of Grace, which I don't think we ever did. I don't know if I think we maybe, I don't know. It's about a Mexican immigrant, and I believe she's from Mexico. And, it's about her getting to America, but she has to smuggle drugs and how that all works with young women and stuff. It's really unsettling. And then Norman Reedus randomly, who just he's like, hey, I'm Daryl from Walking Dead, but on my off time, I'll be whatever character you need. I just have to look like Daryl from Walking Dead. And of course, we have folks from the John Wick world, Angelica Houston, Lance Reddick, in his final screen appearance. It wasn't John Wick 4. It was this shit, which I'm like, okay. And then Ian McShane, who he's so good as Winston. He's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Keanu Reeves. I love Keanu as John Wick. We've talked about this. John Wick 4, we have a group chat with our producer, Lluvia, and stuff. I think John Wick 4 is... And I said this in our review. I think it's one of the best action films of all time. Every time I see it,
it's definitely in contention.
Dude, it's almost 3 hours long. Every time I watch it, I watch the whole fucking thing. I never step away. I never take a break. I never skip. My mother-in-law had never seen it, apparently. Tati and I were so excited. We're we get to rewatch this again with someone who's never seen it before. Oh, that because there's certain moments in that movie where if you're around someone who hasn't seen it before, you're I get to relive this shit through you. Like the stair scene when he gets kicked, and my mother-in-law's like, oh no. And then he just keeps going. She's like, oh, she had to go to the bathroom. She's like, I can't deal with this. This movie is so good. And so, of course, I naturally want that for a spinoff, because I know Kane, Donnie Yen's going to get a spinoff with John Wick. And, when did they hint at the ballerina stuff? When they went to Angelica Houston's, place in the third one, right? That's when they kind of touched on the ballerinas and stuff. And I get what they were trying to do, but I feel like Ana de Armas deserved more. And I think that it just, I don't know, if you're going to do something that's in the John Wick world, for me, I think there's a lot more creative ways to do it than a standard kind of run-of-the-mill B action movie plot.
Okay? I mean, but at the same time, Brandon, I don't see them not going, with the, standard action movie, because that's technically what John Wick is.
I know.
So what would you expect outside of the realm of John Wick, considering it's all about assassins and guns and things like that?
I don't know. I guess I would want something different. If you're going to do if you're going to do a spinoff, it has to be different and also has to be unique. I mean, the one thing that I think is interesting with this movie is the fight scenes are very, very raw. We're watching a young assassin kind of figure out her method. It kind of reminded me of when I first, Casino Royale, right? With James Bond's getting fucked up because he's still figuring out how do I survive this kind of these kind of scene fight, moments and shit. But yeah, the whole backstory with the dad who took her away from the cult, and then it turns out that she has a long lost sister, and she still ended up being an assassin. It was just weird. I'm okay.
Can we just talk about something here?
Okay. Like we can talk about anything you want, baby. Your vasectomy. We can talk about the
She-
economy. We can talk about
Hold on.
farming.
She's John Wick's daughter, right?
No, she's too young.
You think? No, you don't think so?
That guy was her was her dad. Remember, because that's
It
also
wasn't. No, he's not. They explicitly said, "Do we? You guys know whose kid this is, right?" And they're like, "Yes." They alluded to it. She's gonna be John Wick's daughter.
Oh, sweet God, I hope not.
That's what they're doing. They're setting up the Wick family.
I was thinking that maybe they could go in that direction, but for me, this world is so big.
Hold on. Take a second and think about it. Because why
It
was
makes
he
sense why
so
wouldn't kill
hesitant?
her. Yeah, he wouldn't.
Yeah, he was so hesitant to kill
It's
her.
so messy. Like it's so unnecessary. Like you know what I mean? Because I was texting him, like I feel like John Wick is just shoehorned into this thing. Because clearly they were like,
Yes.
we're not going to survive with just Ana de Armas, which is unfortunate because she's been doing the work. She's Oscar nominated. She's a beautiful actress, and she likes doing action movies. Like you
Yeah.
saw No Time to Die, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, she was great in that. Like for me, I was like, oh, I'd rather have seen like a spinoff of that where it's like her first mission and she's figuring shit out, because one, it sets you up to like, have some really dope action scenes, but also she can get fucked up in a way where it doesn't dilute her, people rooting for her. Like, cause that's the one thing with John Wick is like, he keeps getting beat, but he still pushes through, right? Like that.
Yeah. So I mean, because like that's the thing with this. Like, once John Wick shows up, I'm like, all right, when is this supposed to be placed? Because this nigga's dead, supposedly.
So this is between 3 and 4. That's
It
why,
can't be.
No, but it's between 3 and 4. That's why the third one, when he goes to see Angelica Houston, they show him being, branded at the back, like to get her help and stuff like that. But this is before she gets to, the high table, stabs her through the hand. So this all takes place within a very, very tight window when he like went off and did this quick side mission shit,
Mhm.
But again, like to your point, that shows how incredible John Wick is in regards to multitasking. So yeah, like he would have killed Eve very, very quickly and just like kept him moving with the rest of John Wick 3.
But all right, so John Wick 3, I'm trying to remember how that ended to the point where he has the time.
Remember,
do all this
John Wick
shit in
3
between.
ends with the fight at the Continental, and then Winston shoots him off the building. So this is all like a very tight window. So it's possible Eve was at the Continental when it gets attacked, and they could do that for a sequel, like retrofit that she was actually there. I think that'd be really messy. And also you can't really do that now because Lance Reddick is unfortunately passed. So
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe he signed this likeness. I don't know what his estate maybe did, but because they use all kinds of de-aging CGI for Ian McShane, Angelica Houston, which Angelica Houston, unfortunately, she has gotten a little, I don't want to say like bloated, but she's a little fuller in the face, and so even with the de-aging, it doesn't match up with 3.
Yeah.
It was a little distracting for me, but I just feel like there's a more original story that they could have done for Eve to make her part of the John Wick world without it being like kind of this like another revenge thing, because it's about this cult that's ran by Gabriel Byrne, who basically they're looking for, because it opens with her like as a young daughter, and her parents were assassins. They claimed the mom was killed because the dad had run away with her and escaped, and so the mom had to pay the consequences. Right, the consequences.
But again, that is not his. That
when
was
did they
not
say
his daughter.
that?
When they were, when she was still a kid, and she's kind of sitting in that office with the black chick, right? And then and then they call her into the room to go see, the ballerina chick. Well, the headmistress,
director.
Yeah, yeah. The black woman says to the other person, is just like, you know whose kid that is, right?
Oh, so I interpret that as like, we don't know about the mom. We learned nothing about her mom. And so I think the mom it could possibly be like John Wick's sister or something like that. I think they let that ambiguous. I didn't interpret that as John Wick's daughter. I just think the ages don't match up, but I can see her being his niece or something like that.
I just see.
I think if John Wick had a kid, that would have been a different, you know what I mean? I think that would have taken the character in a different direction if he had known.
Well, I mean, who knows if he truly knows yet. I don't know. I
But
just
John Wick
feel like
seems like
there's
he's
gonna be
very
some wild.
calculated. John Wick seems to have like a very time management focused dude. And so I think if he were out here just slinging dick and busting nuts and random people, I think he would like remember to
Just-
follow up.
Just go.
I
Just
mean,
go.
obviously I don't want to have sex with John Wick, but I don't know if that would be a very loving situation. I don't know if that would be a very I don't know. I don't know if it
I
would
mean,
be
the
a good
way that
time.
man wields a gun, you don't think he could wield some pussy
I
or
don't know,
wield some
man.
dick?
I don't know.
He's just stab.
I also found it annoying that there's like another like because John Wick is basically like he's done with the high table at the end of 4, and so now they have to introduce a new org called the cult. That like I'm just like
Yeah.
okay, like how many secret societies are there that are full of assassins? Like, is this? I know there's like a dark underbelly in the world. Like, trust me, I know. I believe in some version of the Illuminati and things like that.
Yeah,
but,
the Court of Owls. It's here.
yeah,
It's
but
out
I'm
here.
like, how many orgs with assassins are just like? Because John Wick 3, remember, like it seemed like assassins were all over New York City. Like,
Yeah.
every other person you pass in the city is like, time to kill somebody.
Right in the throat. 12
I mean, if you
times.
take the subway, it kind of sometimes feels like that. It feels like a fight between Common and John Wick could pop up at any minute on the subway these days. So, okay. So then Eve, we open with Eve, a young Eve, and her father, quote unquote. I'm gonna do that since Justin has his theory, and they get attacked by the cult, like army or whatever the fuck, soldiers, whoever, and the dad basically helps her escape before he gets killed, and then she travels to New York. She meets Winston, and he introduces her to the director of like the Ruska Roma, which is like the ballerina estate where they also train young women to be assassins and stuff.
Of course.
And, yeah. And supposedly Eve is like, I chose this life. And I was like, I think the life chose you because I think she kind of didn't. She wasn't gonna just let you dance.
Well, also, you didn't have a choice.
Yeah, that's what's so weird. At the end when she tells the sister, she's like, I chose this life. I was like, did you, Eve? I think that's some Stockholm syndrome talking. I don't know. I think you need to see a therapist. Yeah.
Yeah, because like there was like at no point where it was like, do you want to be a ballerina or do you want to kill people? And she was just like, I want to kill people. No, that bitch was just like, hey, you're the best dancer in here. Me, I got guns. Nah, chick.
Oh yeah, because there was the one young woman who was like during her training montage, she just like is kind of like hiding behind Eve as Eve is just shooting. And that was helpful to see how assassins are trained and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I love that the Eve constantly is taking dick shots at dudes. She just constantly shooting dudes in the head.
Well, no, but at the same time though, it's the thing that I liked about it, it was just like, so she was trying to head up with that one guy in training, and she kept getting beat. And they were just like, you need to use the fact that you're a woman. You need to use, what you have. So then she learned to then like, use her smaller stature and like hit vital places and things like that to make sure, to give herself a one up. And the thing is like, cause that's real. And you guys, I'm not trying to be ridiculous here. I'm just speaking truth. Is like because of this, the size differential of most of a lot of men towards women, and like there's a strength differential. It's just like women have to be a bit more tactical to take down the guy, especially if he's a formidable fighter. And the fact is showing her being just like, oh, okay, I need to think about how I'm going to gauge my attacks. Like I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, like she was very strategic, versus John Wick, who just is very like he's impulsive and he just kind of he just immediately jumps in. She's a little bit more like she kind of analyzes her environment a little bit better.
Yeah.
I was not better, but like just in a different way, right? Like she uses a lot of like everyday materials. And John Wick does that too, but John Wick usually happens to be in places that are full of weapons, right? When he's fighting other assassins and stuff. She was like in a fucking diner, so she's using plates. Like the plate throwing scene was great.
Oh yeah,
shit like that, where it's like, oh yeah, like, and she, the thing I love about Ana de Armas, from what I've heard, is that she does the work. Like she does like as much stunt work as she physically can. right?
Yeah.
And it shows. Like some of her scenes are really like good. I was like, oh shit, like she's doing it. And we saw hints of that with the 007 movie. I saw I didn't see the Gray Man, but I heard that the Gray Man that she's pretty impressive in that too. And I heard a
Mm.
story about how the Gray Man, she actually had some cooler action scenes and stunts, and Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans complained, and we want to do that, but then they also had their stunt doubles do a lot of their shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's it's
Mm.
interesting to be like, oh, why is the woman get all the cool shit, and then like we want to do stuff like that too, but then they actually don't want to do it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you
It's
can
just
send
like,
Roger
hey,
in. Roger, do that
it's
shit,
like,
make me look cool.
I want to look good on camera with that guy doing it.
I mean, it is hard though. Like like it's one thing to want to play pretend as an actor, but it's another to be like, okay, so now you're going to be your character and you're going to be on top of a racing rig and swinging around and doing all this shit like that. I always think about that kid from The Maze Runner who like broke his back, Dylan
Oh yeah,
O'Brien,
yeah.
or like Leticia Wright. She got fucked up on Black Panther. Like, some of these actors ain't built for this physical activity.
Yeah. That shit ain't fun. Well, I mean,
How do you know
it
that you're
can
ready
be
for that though? As an
What do you
actor,
mean?
like how would you know that you can handle like pretty elaborate stunts?
I think it's just a thing where you have to be fully committed to it because for one, like stunts and all that, like it's about you committing in a point where like you don't show fear or you don't express fear by the
Fear
way of
and
like
you
wincing
can't.
and things like that because that's not going to look good on camera. So like you have to be able, you have to.
Imagine just like the whole movie, you just like that would be me. I'd be like flinching like I'm a power slap competitor. Just
Well,
don't hurt
so
me,
like
Mr. Man.
that's the thing is like to be able to sell this stuff, you're gonna have to fake it on your face, your body language, and all of that. So there's a level of confidence in the fact that like I'm gonna be all right, or let's just call it a level of ignorance to the world and how the world works. And regardless of whether you're an actor or a stuntman, that takes a bit of craziness to jump in there and do that. And like it's really hard, and most people can't disconnect that.
I hear that. I mean, it's complicated, especially like depending on like how much you trust the director, how much you trust the stunt team as well.
It
Because
has no. It's
no,
the
no, because
stunt team, and you have to trust yourself.
no, but Kate Beckinsale actually just recently filed a lawsuit where she's suing producers of a recent action film she did, I think, for Amazon, because
Hmm.
they pressure her into doing stunts. She did them. She
Hmm.
got like incredibly hurt. Uh, then she like healed, but then they wanted her to return to set sooner than she was supposed to. She did under the promise that she was going to have a stunt double that was going to cover all the stuff. Stunt double got sick for whatever reason, and then she was asked last minute to step in again. Exacerbated her injury, and now it's like, hey, I'm suing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So that's what I'm
it's
saying when it
tough.
comes to trust. You know what I mean? Because you
Yeah,
also like you don't want your check being threatened or anything like that. You don't want to
yeah,
be you don't want to have a reputation as being a difficult actor, especially when your career was once at one place and now like you're doing kind of like direct to video or streamer movies, and some people
yeah.
think of that as a drop in their career. So it's very complicated, especially for women in the action space, I think too.
Well, yeah, very, very much so. Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Ana de
Yeah,
Armas is getting it where she can right now, so I'm all for it. Like her doing like serious dramas, action, like she's very versatile and
yeah,
stuff. So, um,
which is good. And I think, well, I wouldn't suggest that actresses go out there and they're just like, hey, throw yourself off a train if you want to make it. But you know, seeing what she's doing, even regardless of the fact, like, yeah, she's a beautiful woman, and most people would automatically contend that, like, hey, a beautiful woman doesn't have to do all this stuff because her beauty is going to get her, open doors for her. But like, if you're thinking that way, you're actually setting yourself backwards, because there's so many different avenues that you could go in this business, and it actually just makes you more of like a triple threat, quadruple threat, and things like that. You're doing action, you're doing all of this stuff. It's just, yeah. So it's like, more women should take this route of just diversifying their skills on set.
Yeah, but like, I mean, also, I don't think there's that many opportunities, especially now. That I worry
I,
that the
but
industry is
even but
taking a huge pivot away.
but that's the reason why. That's the reason why you need to. If you're diversified, then you have more opportunities to find yourself in front of the camera. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's, I mean, that's not necessarily for just women, but just all actors, in every sense of the word. But like, women especially, like I think we as people just look at women just for their looks. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but there's so many other things that women can do, and you be able to do those things and then put those on film just makes you even more of an asset. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, don't get pigeonholed by the business and thinking just like look good. No, you have to, obviously be good, but then be great. So do you think?
Man, that sounds like because I know you act like you know what the industry is doing right now. It's such a
I
weird.
know, but that's and
You're
I'm
like,
I'm
you gotta be
literally
great. I'm like, like,
no
nigga,
no no,
they're literally
but
cutting
that's
opportunities.
no, but I'm not saying like you have to be able to do to do the shit, right? But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people in the business, and let's not just women, because men as well. There's like, if I look the part, I'm gonna get the part. But like that's not just it. Like the old days of just being able to just show up and meet somebody in a bar and now you're fucking famous. Those days are over. You know what I'm saying? You're contending with people whose family have been in the business for fucking 60 years, and then they're the only ones that get ushered in, pushed to the front. It's like, how do you compete? You have to be better. You just have to be better than everybody else, and while also looking great, which is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you have to diversify your shit. I'm like, I'm not saying this like, hey guys, y'all gonna have to just white knuckle is just like,
you sound up very Mitt Romney just a few minutes, like pick yourself up by your bootstraps.
no, man. Like
That's
I
that's
mean,
kind of how it came off.
I think towards you, but I'm just saying this is like, like the business is really hard, and like, just don't fall for the trap of just thinking that there's only one way. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I think what you're trying to say, like, in regards to diversify, is you, in a way, you have to be more than just an actor, and that doesn't just
Yeah.
include stunts. Means like you have to probably have a social media presence. You have to do theater. You have to do short films, a bunch of things. If like that's really what you want to do, you have to do all different types of acting. Like you have to get into voice
Yeah.
acting. You have to do all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what maybe to kind of put a bow on
Yeah.
your argument.
But I guess in the way I was speaking about it, with female actors and Ana de Armas, it's just like there's been this whole thing. It's just like, if you're pretty, you're gonna be a star. Like, that's not the way anymore.
Oh no.
Pretty can open a few doors for you, but it's not gonna open the big doors.
Yeah, Dakota Johnson is actually beautiful in real life, and she is a nepo baby. And she, I mean, I've heard decent things about Materialist, but we all saw Madam Web. I mean,
Yeah.
if you didn't see Madam Web, good on you. Like, good on you and
Yeah.
your eyes.
But
'Cause-
so, and then also it's like, you have to take this into account. Being pretty, it opens doors, but it could open the wrong doors. As
oh
we
yeah,
know that those wrong doors are in Hollywood. It's just like, and if that wrong door opens for you, how do you skirt around it and don't get caught in the wrong door space? And again, not putting it on actresses or anything like that, but it's just like, it's like, how, no, I'm saying, like, it's like, hey,
you're working yourself into a pretzel. Let's
well,
talk
no, bro,
You're like, hey, I'm not saying it's their fault, but like,
No, I'm not.
all right, Dr. Umar, you gotta step back for a second, collect your thoughts.
No, but
I
I'm
know
not.
it's early in the
But,
morning.
but you know what? You're right. It is 9 a.m. in the morning.
You can't do a yes and but. Like, that's
No, I didn't. But I didn't. Yes, I didn't end it. I didn't end it. Don't you say that I ended it. But I'm just like, I'm just covering myself, because also I'm not trying to have people fucking send me fucking angry letters. I was like, bro, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, that's why. Like, let's move on. Let's pivot from this, because I do have because also, like, in regards to what you do as an artist, especially when it comes to film, you can also be a part of unfortunate timing, and that could be the actor
Yeah.
strike, that could be the writer strike, or in this case, you could be just part of a really chaotic production. So Len Wiseman was hired as the director for Ballerina in 2019. At the time, he was considering Lady Gaga or Chloe Grace Moretz for the lead before Ana de Armas was cast in 2002. So this dude was working on this film for almost 3 years. They finally started filming in November 2022. Post-production started in February 2023, and there was early plans in early 2023 to start working on a sequel. But then early test screenings labeled the film as a mess and totally inconsistent, rumored to be a franchise killer. There was extensive reshoots that occurred from March to June 2024 with new cast members added and additional scenes shot by Norman Reedus. And the director of John Wick, Chad Stahelski, reshot most of the film after being dissatisfied with Len Wiseman's original cut. All the reshoots took place without Wiseman, right? So basically, the director was taking off his movie. And Stahelski ghost directed the film, which makes a lot of sense because that's why John Wick was added. His main objective was to add more action scenes. So, in watching this movie, if there were supposed to be fewer action scenes of what's in this movie, oh man, this would have been painful. Because Ana de Armas, I think, is a very talented actress. I think the script was dog shit. She has one scene where she comes in. I mean, again, this is also on her too, but she probably is like, this line, this is terrible. She comes in about to talk to Angelica Houston after the one girl she's been growing up with, the ballerina school, she's suddenly gone, right? Which means she probably got killed. And she goes, Tatiana,
no,
things are gone.
she isn't. She didn't get killed.
They just sent her away?
No, she's in Swan Lake. That's who she's watching.
Oh, at the end. Okay.
Yes.
That wasn't quite clear to me.
When she saw her she saw her in the sun. Yeah.
We'll talk about it at the ending because I was just like, what? But she goes, Tatiana's things are gone. Did something happen to her? And I'm like, why was that the take you went with? Like, that was really bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's other scenes.
There were some things where I'm just like, that's a little rough.
Yeah, Angelica Houston's like, treat your wounds before you get sepsis and we have to cut off your feet. And I'm like, I know you're supposed to be cold, but like, that was the best take they had of Angelica Houston? Like, come on, guys. What are we... Yeah. Also, did she legit need to have a cover as a ballerina?
What do you mean?
Eve. Did she actually have to do ballerina training? Like, you're already an assassin. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, but that's their thing.
Just like, it's so unnecessary.
But actually, think about it. If you think...
I want another hobby.
Hold on. Think about it this way. Ballet... things like that, they dance and perform all over the world. That's a way for them to access spaces that most people typically wouldn't. And then also being the fact that they're women, it's another way for them to access place to powerful people that typically other people wouldn't. So it's actually, it kind of makes sense in a way. Yeah,
I guess you're right. One of my notes that I wrote when I was watching this is, I did write down Anna's a sexy fighter though. I mean, she's definitely like, rugged and like more like she gets more fucked up in this than she did in No Time to Kill. No Time to Kill is one of the sexiest like scenes in an action film. I think her fight scene between that dress she was wearing and like Daniel Craig being smooth as fuck. Like I was just like, are they fucking? Like I know he's married to Daniel Craig must have some kind of like pipe or something like that because he got Rachel Weisz, right, from The Mummy. Mm-hmm. That's his baby mama. I think they're married now, so that's rude to call her. But I'm like, God damn, you got the mummy, and you got great chemistry with Ana de Armas. All right, okay.
It's called acting, man.
Hey, is it? Because it sucks to be on set with people you don't have chemistry with. You know what I mean, or people you don't get along with.
Well, I mean, no, it sucks to be on set with people you don't get along with. Not having chemistry, that's fine.
Yeah, but you can work people you need to have chemistry with. You know what I mean? Like, but friends, you need to.
Yeah, no, but you can work with that. But again, that at that point now you're acting like you're friends. You're acting like you like each other and whatnot. But yeah, I mean that's a part of the game. But if you don't like somebody, that's when it gets a little bit tough. Especially if you have to have, intimate scenes with that person or, have to show care for them when you're looking at this person, it's like, oh, I hate you.
Yeah. And there was some fun, like, to go back to the movie, there were some fun, like, action gimmicks. Like, like when Eve is punching someone, one of the assassins with the remote and the TV's changing channels in the background. Stuff like that. Yeah. When she's trying to help Norman Reedus, save his daughter and get his daughter out of there. I did write that down. I was like, I think the one reason that I'm not really a fan of this movie is because in the John Wick movies, it's all adult shit, right? It's like, hey, adults chose to be assassins and come after John Wick, so they're gonna face the consequences. John Wick killed a bunch of people, so niggas coming after him, consequences, right? You
Yeah.
have two major scenes with kids surrounded by gunfire. I think that takes the franchise into a different direction that's a little bit darker and not as fun. You know what I mean? I think when you're
Well,
watching John Wick movies, it's just about like adults shooting each other and like whatever.
all right.
But
Well,
when you have
I
Norman Reedus with a shotgun,
but
and his
at the same
daughter's right
time,
there,
Brandon, I imagine that they're trying to make a franchise out of this. They're going to make more, right? This is the first film in that franchise, which is part of a world that is already, kind of been fleshed out for the most part, right? So within that, this character comes from a space which is probably heavily influenced by, child abductions, trafficking and all of that. So for this character and for like where she comes from and within her world, this makes sense to tell as the opening story. So there would be children there. Now for the next one, if they continued that, that's a different thing. But
I don't want
also
no
on the
more
other
kids.
end, huh?
I don't want no more kids
What?
in these. It's not as
I don't want no
fun.
more kids, nigga. That's why I got a vasectomy. No,
Did
but
you
I think
did you store any additional
no,
sperm just in case?
no. I'm
That's
done.
an
That.
option
I
though,
thought you
right?
were done. No, you can. Yeah, I mean, you can go and get you have to semen frozen and things like that. No, I'm good. I'm done.
No, but like because you always wanted a daughter though, couldn't you like then use that for IVF and try to, finagle
But I won't.
getting a
So no, absolutely not.
so you're done. Like you're not even gonna try
Yes.
like one more time for
Yeah. Listen, if Paula died tomorrow, God forbid, if Paula died tomorrow and I got remarried, you got 3 little knucklehead boys to deal with. That's it. That's it.
If you don't
It
do a
ain't
black
happening.
three ninjas Halloween costume at one point, you're fucking up. If you dress up as Black Grandpa, if you don't do that at least 1 year,
Light up the eyes, boys. Light up the eyes.
yeah, you really have 3 young boys out in these
Yeah.
streets.
I literally have Tum Tum because Lennox eats everything. And definitely Axel is cult. Shit.
Yeah, I told you. Based on what you've said about their personalities.
Yeah.
Jackson's Rocky.
But so with all of that being said, it's like I also think that because Ana de Armas is playing Eve, who is a product of this of like those kinds of conditions, that kind of upbringing and world, she would be kind of someone who's a champion for children. She's like the patron saint of like, lost children and things like that. So
Yeah,
it would actually make sense for her character to be the one who's fucking saving kids, doing things, to do that. So like, I'm actually okay with it because character wise, it actually fits. And yes, it does take it into a different realm, which is not fun, but it shouldn't, but these movies shouldn't necessarily be fun because of what she's coming from. Her story is actually less fun than John Wick's.
Yeah, I get that. And also, John Wick's story is funny we say that because John Wick's story is like his wife just died, his dog got killed, and he got beat to death, like almost beat to death. So,
yeah,
welcome to the world, John Wick.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, her daddy got killed. Her mama died. Her daddy got killed.
Supposedly. Remember, we don't see the mom actually die,
true.
so that could be a rumor. Like she could pop up in the sequel.
So her dad died in front of her. Her dad died in front of her. Then she's become a ballerina and just all the shit that goes on there and trained to be an assassin. My question is she a virgin?
Probably.
Because that's a whole nother like crazy thing. Because also at the same point,
remember,
she's in this house with all these crazy Russian dudes with tatted up faces and shit like that. So it's like that would also lend to another space. It was just like, well, not necessarily, not for sure, but it's just like, in these spaces with these fucking gruff, hard men, is like, is there any abuse there? You know what I'm saying? an abuse
I feel
of
like
this
the
power.
director, she wouldn't tolerate any of that based on like, the lore behind her starting a John Wick 3. My whole thing though is maybe they do like a Black Widow thing where they like, take out their sex organs, the reproductive organs, stuff like that. Because isn't that what they did Natasha, right? She said like they took out her ovaries or something like that, so she couldn't have kids or something. And so, not saying that this is what the Russians do, but it's just that's what Hollywood presents it. Again,
don't Brandon, don't yes.
Again, Angelica Houston, Ian McShane, and Lance Reddick even. It felt weird when they were included in this movie. It felt like they were almost CGI'd in, like at times. Like there was parts where Ian McShane, obviously they like de-aged him a little bit, and Tati was like, "Is he really there with her?" And I was like, "I don't know." Like this movie just felt sloppy, and I wrote down on one of my notes. It feels like it wants to be like if I didn't know this is a John Wick spinoff, right? If I were just watching it, I would be like, "This feels like a John Wick wannabe that just happens to have John Wick in it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just felt very odd. Like even knowing that Chad Stileski, he stepped in to ghost direct this basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess at this point the train has left the station. You have Ana de Armas, so you don't want to pull the plug on the movie, right?
Yeah.
Because you've already spent so much money. You don't want the word to get out that like this movie was so disastrous. But this isn't a franchise killer, but I wouldn't be mad if we never see these characters again. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really, I'm not interested in the cult. I'm not interested in like them hunting Eve. I don't care much about following Eve's story beyond this. I feel like there's probably a lot like I want to get to see the Kane story. I want to see Kane, the fallout with his daughter and the one woman from the Japanese Continental. Like, I want to see that story more.
Well, that's because you're a misogynist man and you don't
I
feel
wanna see that badass
women
daughter.
can leave movies.
No, I'm all for like you know what I mean? Because I think that's interesting because that's like a spy versus spy kind of situation, right? Because John Wick 4, the post credit scene is like her going to see Kane, right, to get revenge. So I want to see that. She was fucking awesome. Like I don't know, I just was frustrated with the story of this movie.
Well, so I guess part of this is just the fact is like there's more build up with Kane, which led to be like, oh, this guy is an interesting character because he was a pivotal point in John Wick 4. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the ballerina assassin then goes, it was mainly just a scene in John Wick 3. You know what I'm saying? So like the fact that we're getting a movie based off of that, which is basically just a scene that they've just expounded upon into a whole new movie, it isn't as titillating for us to want to just sink our teeth into. While Kane, on the other hand, he had actually more screen time, more time with John Wick. I think if we had more time with like an actual ballerina assassin in John Wick 3, like helping him or like, being alone, or like maybe all of the ballerinas coming out and then fucking rocking shit, is just like, that would have made that a little bit more interesting, which would have had people clamoring more for this film. But I think because of the fact that we didn't have too much of this, it does feel a little bit like, hey, we're gonna shoehorn a movie out of this because it can make a little bit of bread.
Yeah, and I didn't see the Continental show because it had Mel Gibson in it. So I don't know what it covers. I know it's a prequel of like Winston's character coming up with the Continental. But like for me, like the world that they built starting in John Wick 2, that is so interesting to me. Like I would love like a show or like even a movie or like a fake documentary about the building of a market that builds up its Continental, and like like the dude like similar to the Frank guy in this movie with the armory. You got like the other people that are like the seamstress people. I would just love to see like what that's like to build up that market, how people know about it, like how you create. Maybe that's what the Continental does. I think that's far more interesting than just this generic kind of spin-off thing with a character we've never seen before. And mind you, like we've had a bunch of tertiary characters throughout John Wick, including Halle Berry's character, that you could have done a spinoff and like done something interesting and continue that world. I think that's the one thing that didn't bump for me when they first announced this. I was like, yeah, Ana de Armas is cool and she's doing her action thing, but we're gonna now be, after so much world building, now you're gonna introduce us to a main character we have no prior experience with.
Exactly.
And you're
That's
shoehorning
it.
her into these weird forced flashback scenes that you're putting into this movie to retrofit her in. And you know me, after the WeWork shit, I hate retrofitting stuff. Like that's legit the reason why I don't like this shit. I don't like when people like have revisionist history and try to sell it like it's always been that way.
Yeah.
You know, I
Fair.
just that just really bothers me. And that's the reason why we're fought. Like that's not one of the main reason, but that's one of the reasons why we're in this political situation, because people were like, I see this thing happening. Dems like, we gotta fix this. And they're like, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
He's okay. He's okay. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, I get why why you feel that way, and that's extremely valid. So yeah,
and Lance Riddick, I just was like, rest in power, sir. Like this is like such a nothing burger. Like he just randomly pops up. Like, you know, I was just like, okay, sure. But again, there were some really cool fight scenes. But like again, if that's what Chad Zaleski was pulled in to do, you know, the little ice, you know, skate fight where she's sliding around the ice and fucking this dude over the. I mean, bro, just get out of there. Get out of there,
bro. That
She's
whole
slicing
scene,
you up, nigga.
that shit was making me feel all of the pain. Because like when she sliced his inner thigh, I was like, oh, that could be the dick.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, he's bleeding out. She got his thigh. She got it inside his thigh. He's done.
Yeah, he's done.
I did like though that there were some people that were like giving her the business. Like when she goes to that one cabin diner thing, and the town slowly starts peeking, you know, slipping out and shit like that. And that one dude comes in, he was giving her the business until she broke his arm.
Yeah.
Once she was able to break his arm, it was over. But like he was fucking her up.
Yeah.
But
But
one
that's the
woman
thing,
starts
it's just
fighting
like-
her. That was crazy.
You know, but like that's the thing that I like about, you know, this is just like, all right, you're like, you're smaller, he's stronger, you know, like maybe the skills match, that's when the strength all of a sudden takes takes a bigger toll and whatnot. Is like, what you gonna do? And she fucking figured that shit out. And like that's the shit that I love in a good action scene, where you see a character really sitting down and thinking, is like, how do I fucking solve this puzzle? How do I incapacitate this person who on paper should beat me 9 out of 10 times? I need to find that one.
How does she travel? I mean, she has fake identification, I'm guessing, because she, like, you know, she's traveling from Russia to France to then,
Prague and
Austria,
all this.
Austria and stuff like that, because that's where that small town is, Hallstatt, where the cult, that's like their main base and shit like that, which is like, okay, sure.
Which is
like,
just a whole town, and they have fucking
it felt very Jim Cotta, bro. It felt very Jim Cotta, like that third act when she's just fighting the town, assassins.
I mean,
in the
that's
small ass
wild.
town. Didn't it feel like
go
that,
that
though?
far? Let's not even bring up Jim Cotta.
It wasn't that silly, but it felt very. And folks, if you've never seen Jim Cotta or heard our review, please go take yourself over to patreon.com/mediapopcorn. Listen to the Jim Cotta review. It's one of the craziest movies I've ever seen, and that's not a good thing.
So,
It's
so I did find it. I thought it was kind of cool at first, but then it got kind of weird. The dude on the fucking overlook, kind of just like, you know, with all of these different telescopes, he's just like, she's here, everybody go here, da 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 da. I'm just like, first of all, when she came into this space, well, actually, I don't think that she knew that the whole town was a thing.
no,
Okay.
not at all.
But it did seem like John Wick figured it out, or he knew, because this motherfucker, he was in the tower. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, like, John Wick
but
has.
then
a
again, he has
reputation, I
more
think.
knowledge. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
on.
he has more knowledge, and from what the lore hints at about John Wick is that he's basically worked for everybody at some point.
Yeah.
So everybody, like within all these crime organizations and syndicates, knows that he puts in that work, and that he is not the one you want on the other side of shit.
Yeah.
Against you.
The fact that it was just like, he was just like,
We
you know,
lost
hey,
John
we should leave, and it's like, no whatever has ever left his post. You know, whatever. It's just like, we also don't know where John Wick is. He's like, all right, bitch, come on, let's get the fuck about it.
Yeah, Gabriel Byrne, I don't know what he was doing in this movie. It was so boring. And Norman Reedus is his son, apparently, who's also an assassin for the cult. And Gabriel Byrne's trying to get his granddaughter because that's what's going to continue the legacy. And this all is about legacy, too, because that's why Catalina Marino, who plays Lena, she is Eve's long-lost sister, who was left to be like kind of the leader for now. And then she just gets killed in like when a grenade goes off after she reveals to Eve that she's her sister. She's like, "You don't remember me, do you?" Bam. I was just like, "That's it. That is it."
Yeah, I'm your sister, and I'm dead.
Yeah,
You got no family.
Like, what?
You got no family, bitch.
Catalina's Colombian. Yeah, she is beautiful.
Of course she is.
Yep. Yeah, I just was, and then the director, Angelica Houston sends John Wick to kill Eve as a compromise, so there's no beef between the cult and the director's org, and then John Wick basically has her dead to rights, has Eve dead to rights, and then she's like, "I need the revenge," and he's like, "I'll give you 30 minutes, otherwise I'm coming back and taking care of business."
Which is again kind of wild because you're telling me
know her.
that the final action sequence of her going through the town took 15 minutes, nigga. That was 15 minutes.
Well, she had 30 minutes.
No. When he looked at his watch, it was fucking it was 11:42.
Okay. Well, I mean, John Wick has always been very loose with time. Remember that when him and Ken are going up those stairs, they have like 2 minutes.
Okay, no, actually it's 11:38. But either way, so just her getting out of there and then from engaging the first person, let's say it's 5 minutes.
And
right?
the flamethrower scene is long too. That sequence is long, and then she goes against the fire hose, the fire hose and stuff. That's the whole thing.
I mean, listen, I knew once she's like, "Oh, that's cool," you know what I'm saying? I'm like, "All right, it's gonna be something big." And then I saw you see the flame. I'm like, "Okay, I see what we did this." And then the other guy pops up with the flamethrower. They have the scene where the flames are going
like
in the air.
Dumbledore versus Voldemort.
Yeah, and then it's water and fire, ice. Yeah. I'm like, all right, like this is cool, but also at the same time, niggas.
I know this movie is a little over 2 hours, and it could have been a really tight 90 minutes. It could have been really tight, effective 90 minutes. I don't know why it had to be so long. The scenes with Norman Reedus did not add any value to me. I didn't care about him. I didn't care about his daughter. And I just, like you said earlier, like the daughter's plot line with Norman Reedus was just a parallel Eve story and her journey, right? And so just like, I get the beat. Try to do something more unique, please. Yeah. But the stunt work was incredible in this. Between
it's great.
The people on fire, that one dude was fighting her with his leg on fire and shit. I wrote down this cult is built different.
Yeah,
I was like this. Because I love how the John Wick movies do this, especially the last, like with this and John Wick 4, especially how they have like certain assassins that are just like, this is my job and I'm gonna do it 110%. Like when I watch John Wick 4, there's that one Spanish dude, or no, he's French maybe, who's like the right hand man of like Pennywise, that's like fighting John Wick throughout the whole fucking movie, and he's the one that gets like killed by the dog and the black dude at the end. But he's like fucking everywhere. He's globetrotting and fighting everybody, and like just doesn't give a fuck. He's hurting and I'm like, that's the kind of dude you want to hire.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He's committed.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. And then like again, John Wick just felt so sure, and then he was just like, consequences. I'm like,
yeah. Well, and that's it. All right. Can we just ask the question? Listen, we love John Wick. We love Keanu Reeves. But is he a good actor? No, right? It's no. It's 100% no.
He's a good actor when he finds the right vehicle, because he actually is really. It depends. It depends. I think he has certain. Okay. I think he's in a place now where he knows his strengths. He knows what he can bring to a project, and that's aligning very well with the projects he's picking lately. Because between John Wick and Always Be My Maybe, which is one of the funniest cameos in recent memory, what else did he do that was like, he's got, what else did he do besides John Wick. He's done some other stuff where I was like, oh yeah, he's in the early '90s. No, he was not good. He was very, very bad. He was very bad. Like, have you ever seen much? Is it Much Ado About Nothing? The one where he's with Denzel, where Dracula, obviously. Like, he is not. He was not good in the '90s.
But
It took him a long time to get to it.
Quite a number of parts of The Devil's Advocate.
We never reviewed that, did we?
We didn't. I thought we
We've
did.
never done Devil's Advocate. We had to do Devil's Advocate. That's what
Devil's Advocate is wild.
Yeah, Al Pacino. That's when he just started screaming. But yeah, like okay, Matrix. Oh, like he was Shadow, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. That was great. Duke Kaboom in Toy Story 4. That was cute. Matrix Resurrections. That was a big misstep. That I don't know what that was. But yeah, he's been doing his thing. I think I wouldn't be surprised if some of the bad takes I was commenting on were the shit that the old director Len Wiseman did. And it's just like, hey, we don't have time to film everything, including these smaller moments. So let's just keep that dog shit and then just try to make it look great with amazing action scenes and stuff.
I mean,
it's unfortunate.
There's a lot of action.
Yeah.
Like a ton of action. But
also the writer originally wrote the screenplay in 2017 as a standalone over-the-top action film with dark humor and nudity. It was revised multiple times between 2019 and 2022 to fit into the John Wick universe. So this was never intended specifically for this universe. So they wrote around it to fit into, and that's what a lot of like original spec scripts are doing now. They're trying to retrofit it into IP that they can use that's more universally known. Apparently Emerald Fennell, who did Promising Young Woman and Saltburn, did a ghost rewrite on this. Interesting.
That's a little bit upsetting.
Yeah. Before we get to our ratings, our producer Lluvia did pull some reviews from Letterboxd that she thought we should read. The first one is from Matt Lynch. The first one's from Matt Lynch, who wrote, like 65% pretty good action, whomever is responsible for it. The rest is more snoozer, Wick world building I no longer have any patience for. Okay.
Fair.
Next is from Coffee, who wrote, the action in this is so well shot and cut that if you didn't know it was largely reshot by Chad Stileski, it could fool you into thinking that Len Wiseman is a good filmmaker. 3.5 out of 5 stars. Damn.
Ouch.
Yeah. Always I was going for the jugular over here on Letterboxd.
Shade, baby, shade.
Yeah. This next one is from, why does Google Chrome always freeze up when I'm trying to read these?
I don't know, man.
Holly wrote, just a girl and her 3D printed Glock against the world. What can I say? I enjoyed the tried and true male gaze formula. I like pretty girls and I like explosions. 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay. Pretty girls.
Hey, he knows what he likes. Bobby Wagner wrote, sometimes you just have to watch a beautiful woman shoot people in the head for 2 hours. 3 out of 5 stars.
Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. And then Zoe Rose Bryant wrote, wish I would have seen this in 4DX so I could feel Ana de Armas punch me in the face too. 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Who said that? What was the name?
Zoe Bryant. What? You got to listen to what I'm saying, the names. I already closed the tab.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, was that man or woman who said that? And I think, with the name of Zoe Bryant, we'd lean towards a woman. And it's like, she feels it. She feels it.
It could be they. We don't know anymore.
Yeah. Just see.
And then we did get a Patriot thought on Ballerina. Folks, remember we sign up at Patreon at patreon.com/mediapopcorn. You're guaranteed to have your thoughts and reviews of those films read on that episode. So Sean Simmons wrote, Ana de Armas is worth the price of admission. Decent watch, lives up to the title of the movie, tucked between John Wick 3 and 4. Third act kind of threw me. Catalina Marino felt wasted. I agree. The reveal of the connection between her and Eve and what ultimately happens following, there wasn't enough there for me to care. Even with John Wick's little bit of help, how the hell did Eve survive? She would have gotten smoked by that flame gun multiple times. I don't know if I buy doing a sequel to this, but maybe the Eve character can be inserted to future Wick films. Small popcorn. Yeah, I think that's a good direction to go. Like, just maybe pop her up in John Wick 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But Justin, break down our rating system, baby.
Stop calling me baby. Guys, you know how we do this. We rate movies bags of popcorn, small, medium, large, and the XL fully exceptional. If a film doesn't deserve any hot, buttery, delicious popcorn that's slathered in blood because somebody's got their brains blown out, we throw it into the stale popcorn pile. We piled piles and piles of stale popcorn on the top of it. So, Brandon, we sat down, we watched the 2025 action film, The Ballerina, starring Ana de Armas, Keanu Reeves, Angelica Houston, Gabriel Byrne, Lance Reddick in his final time on film. What say you, sir?
Yeah, this gets small. I think initially I told you and Lluvia I was going to give it a medium, but actually, yeah, it's going to get small. I'm probably not going to watch this again. And I usually rewatch all the John Wick movies, at least like parts of them, and I'm not going to revisit this one. I could just watch the ice skating rink, the ice skating fight scene on YouTube or something like that, and that's it. There's nothing there that like was worth sticking around for. Ana de Armas, I felt was wasted. Our Patriots said, or Marina was wasted. Norman Reedus just shoehorned in there. And again, like, bro, if you're gonna do movies outside, if you're gonna do any projects outside of Walking Dead, change your fucking look. You cannot look like Daryl Dixon in everything you do. That's insane. Even The Rock changes his appearance, motherfucker. What are you doing? Like, that's so crazy.
Does he though?
Hey, I mean, I said this in a movie news episode I just recorded. Like, he's stepping up as an actor, man. He's starting to work with Aronofsky now and shit. Scorsese, like,
well, yeah,
he's doing a pivot. I don't know what encouraged that. I guess Black Adam's sucking so bad. He's like, I gotta take this seriously. So, but Justin, what's your rating, baby?
Again, stop calling me baby. I think you tried to slip that in there, you piece of shit. I'm gonna give this a medium. I thought that the action was actually pretty damn good, and like, as we talked about in the episode, we understand why the action is pretty good. Yes, the story's not necessarily tight, but you're not necessarily watching a John Wick film for the story. And yes, it's not necessarily a John Wick film. It's something else, but it's still based off of that world, that universe. I understand why they went the way that they went with this, because technically, as much as this, we are introduced to the world, this is a new character that we're being introduced into the world. So this is kind of an origin story. And I think that with the building of this story is going to play into the overarching, big picture. And I just have a feeling that you're going to see more of this character. And like, that's what we had to get some of the growing pains out in here. And again, mainly medium because the action was actually really good.
Got it. All right, folks. Well, there you have it. Our review on Ballerina. As always, you can follow the show at Medium P Podcast on all social media platforms. Go to Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. Push that subscribe button. YouTube.com/Medium Popcorn Podcast. Push that subscribe button to get alert about all future videos and celebrity interviews we have on the platform. And if you want to follow me, Frodo_Blackens on Instagram and Threads. That's where I be at most of the days. FrodoBlackens.com for show dates, including Trump Black History shows, stand-up shows, and some really exciting stuff coming up in the fall. So again, FrodoBlackens.com for that. And Justin, if people want to follow you as well as support the show financially, what can they do, my brother?
Right here. Guys, you can follow me at J Brown Did It on all the social media platforms. And also, you can show us some love on Patreon, nigga. Patreon.com/Medium Popcorn. We have $2, $5, $10, and $15 packages. Our entire backlog is on Patreon. So if you're not on Patreon, what you doing? Patreon.com/Medium Popcorn.
That's right. Clap it up, put it down, everybody get around. Shimma, shimma, shimma. We'll talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Peace.